Hi students, this is Suchadata teaching economics to class 11 and here I am with the statistical portion and teaching the 5th chapter, and the name of the chapter is Measures of Central Tendency. Now first of all, try and understand as to what is central tendency. Central tendency is the central value or the representative value of a series. Meaning to say, either we take the central value or the representative value which we find out by different methods is called as the central tendency system. And why should we have the central value or central tendency? Why should we know it? What is the purpose behind finding out as to the central tendency of the series? The first is that this gives a brief description of the series. For example, if there are 50 students in a class, it is very difficult to remember the marks of all the 50 students. But when we have the central value, when we have the representative value, then we easily can guess as to what are the marks of the students, and thus it is giving us the brief description of the marks of the students in a class. The second purpose is for comparison. When we have the central tendency or when we have the central value, it is very easy for us to compare. For example, if the central value of the students of class A is 20 and of the students of class B is 40, we will be able to make the comparison easily that this is a brighter class than this class. That is, section B is brighter than section A. Thus, for any kind of comparisons, it is very essential that we have the central value of the series. Third is for the formulation of policies. When we have the central value, that is the time we will be able to formulate our policies on that basis. For example, if I see that the central value or the average marks of the students in maths is less and in say English is more, or likewise, then it is very easy for me to make the policies in such a manner that more importance is given to the students in the subjects wherein they have scored less. Thus, it is essential for the formulation of policies in future use. Next is statistical analysis. When I have to make some kind of statistical analysis that is for further use, it is very essential that I have the representative value or the central value, because an ungrouped data or raw data is not easy to handle, and thus by these statistical analysis which we have to do, we must have the representative value of the series, as we cannot take into account the entire values of all the students. Next is one value for all. It truly represents the marks obtained by the students in the class. Thus, one value itself represents for all the students. As I said, the central tendency is finding out the central value, and to find out the central value, there are three statistical tools which are mean, median and mode, which we are going to study in detail. And first of all, we will be studying about the mean central tendency. That is, mean is in fact a method or the simple average of all the values. This is frequently used and it is such that it can be used by all of us and with excellent results. When we will be studying about the mean, median and mode, we shall be taking into account three kinds, and which are the simple and the continuous and the discrete series, or as I say, the individual series, the discrete series and the continuous series of all the mean, median and the mode. Now we have to find out the central tendency, as I said, by three ways, that is mean, median and mode. And the first one that we shall pick up is the mean, and in all the three we shall be finding out through three kinds, and that is the individual series, the discrete series and the continuous series. The first of its kind, the individual series of the mean. The individual, as the word is suggesting, the frequency which occurs is only once, and thus it is an individual series. For example, there are 5 students in a class. So, the number of observations are 5 and the marks secured by them are: the first student gets 5 marks, the second student gets 6 marks, the third student gets 7 marks, the fourth student gets 8 marks and the fifth student gets 9 marks. And thus, when I add to all this, 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 will give me 35. And thus, to find out the average of these 5 students, the formula that shall be applied is sigma x upon n. And thus, the number of marks or the total marks obtained by the students are 35 and the students are 5, and thus the marks obtained average are 7 by these 5 students. So, this is the first method of observation, or rather finding out mean of the individual series. Now, let me talk about the second one, that is the discrete series. In the discrete series, it is not individual who is getting the marks, but there are more than one students getting those marks, or the number of laborers getting that kind of salary. So, the frequency which shall occur will be more than once. Here only one student was getting 5 marks, the second student was getting 6 marks, but here the number of students shall be more obtaining the marks. Now, for example, if the marks are 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, the number of students obtaining these marks, as I said, are more than 1. The marks obtained 10 are by 4 students and 20 marks are gained by 5 students, 30 marks are gained by 3 students, 40 marks are gained by 2 students and 50 marks by 5 students. Which means I will have to find out as to what is the total sum of this. Here, if this is frequency, then the frequency that I have, the sigma f that I have is 19. That is 19 times it has occurred. But now I shall be finding out the sigma fx, and which shall be calculated by multiplying the marks by the frequency. That is 10 into 4 gives me 40, 20 into 5 gives me 100, 30 into 3 will give me 90, 40 into 2 will give me 80 and 50 into 5 will give me 250. So, when I add to this 40 plus 100 plus 90 plus 80 plus 250 will give me 560. So, what I have is the total sum of the frequencies, that is sigma f, which is 19, and I have the sigma fx, which is 560. These are the total marks which have been obtained by all these students, that is the 19 ones. Now, the formula applied is x bar is equal to sigma fx upon sigma x. Sigma fx is 560 and this is 19. which will give me 29.47 as the average marks obtained by the 19 students. If you make the comparison between the individual series and the discrete series, remember what you have to understand is here the marks obtained are by individual students, but here that same marks are obtained by more than one student. So thus we will have to calculate both the frequencies which have existed and the total sum of the marks which have been gained by them, and thus calculating by sigma fx upon sigma x will give me 560 upon 90, that is 29.47. Now let me talk of the third kind of mode, and that is in the mean that we have is what we call as the continuous series. In this we do not have the exact marks to code by the students, but we have them in range, and here the series which we have picked up is of 10. So here it is the class interval of 10 between 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40 and 40 to 50. So in this range the number of students who have got the marks. From range 0 to 10, the number of students who have secured marks are 20. So the frequency is 20 of the first. Between 10 to 20 it is 24. Between 20 to 30 it is 40. Between 30 to 40 it is 36. And between 40 to 50 it is 20. Now I will find out the mid value of this. To find out the mid value, between 0 to 10 will be 5. 10 to 20 is 15, 20 to 30 is 25, 30 to 40 is 35, 40 to 50 is 45. And next I will find out the sigma fm, which means I am going to multiply the frequencies with the mid value. 20 into 5 will give me 100, 24 into 15 will give me 360, 40 into 25 will give me 1000, 36 into 35 will give me 1260, 20 into 45 will give me 900. Now, first of all, I will find out the sigma f, which is 20 plus 24 plus 40 plus 36 plus 20 giving me 140. Next is to find out the sigma fm, and for this it is 100 plus 360 plus 1000 plus 1260 plus 900 giving me 3620. And thus the sigma x we have, and we have the sigma ff, and for this we need to find out the x bar. And to find out the x bar, the formula that we shall apply is sigma fm upon sigma f. Sigma fm that I have is 3620 and sigma f is 140, which means when I divide this it will give me 25.86. Now you must remember that you now know to find out mean through three kinds, and that is individual, discrete, and the third is the continuous. The difference is in individuals it is one student getting that marks, in discrete there are frequencies which are occurring. In the continuous series, though the frequencies also exist, but the major part is that the marks obtained are in a range, are in class interval. They do not have the exact marks scored by the students. Now let us try and know the merits and demerits of mean. As far as the merits are concerned, the first merit is that it is a very simple method of finding out the average of the students or of the series. Thus, it gives us in a very simple manner the averages that we need to find out. Second is, it is based on certainty, because whatever we derive is for sure is right. The third is that the mean that we derive or the average or the central value, the tendency which we have known by finding out through the mean, gives us the information based on all the items. The next is that whatever conclusions are drawn, the mean that is derived can be used for further algebraic conclusions. Thus, all the people in the economy, that is the economists or the statistical people, take mean as the most accurate method of finding out whatever they have to, since they can use it for further use by algebraic treatment. And it is best for comparisons. If we have the mean of the series, it is very easy for to understand whether the comparisons which are there are right or wrong. For example, the number of students who are getting marks in maths or in English or in SST, we can make comparisons very well as to wherein the students have got less marks and where they have got more marks. But mean is also not there without its demerits. And the first demerit is that it gets affected by the extreme value. For example, if I say that there are 5 students in a classroom and one of them gets 2000 rupees as his pocket money and the rest of them get say 20, 30, 40, 50 rupees. But when I take out the mean, I will be calculating this 2000 along with these meager pocket money, which means the money which will come out, the mid value which will come out, the central tendency which will come out will be much higher to the number of students getting these kind of pocket money. The second is that sometimes the mean that we derive, that value does not figure in the series at all. For example, if I say the number of students obtained marks are 2 plus 3 plus 7, that is one child has got 2 marks, the other one has got 3 marks, the other one has got 7 marks. When I total up 12 by 3, it means 9. And this 9 does not figure in the series at all. Next is that it gives us sometimes laughable conclusion. For example, in the A section, if there are 50 students, and in the B section, if there are 51 students, and I try and find out the mean, I will say 101 by 2, which will give me 50.5. Can half a student be there in any classroom? So thus, this conclusion which has been drawn or the mean which has been derived becomes a laughable conclusion. And sometimes the conclusions drawn are also misleading. For example, the A firm had the net profit, if I say 1000 rupees in 1994, next year it increased to 2000, next year it increased to 3000, whereas the B firm had 3000 in the beginning and 2000 next year and 1000 the next year. The total when I find out of both will be 6000, and thus the average which shall be concluded shall be similar to both of them. But this is not the right conclusion which will be drawn, because the A firm is on its ascending path. It is leading to profit and more profit the next year, whereas the B firm is on a downward trail from 3000 to 2000 to 1000. But the averages of the 3 years which we will derive will be similar. Thus, it is a misleading conclusion. Next, now we start with the median. And in the median, as I said, first of all we will pick up the individual series, then the discrete series and the continuous series. In the individual series, we have 11 students and the marks obtained by them are: the first student gets 10, the second one 11, the third one 15, the fourth one gets 17, the fifth one gets 20, the 6th student gets 21, the 7th student gets 32, the 8th student gets 32, the 9th one gets 33, the 10th one 35, and the 11th student gets 41. The formula which we have to apply here is the number of observation plus 1 divided by 2. And remember, in median, whatever is there, we will have to always put it in either ascending order or descending order. They shall not be given in this manner. For example, here I have put it in the ascending order starting from 10 and ending at 41. So, the number of observations that I have, the number of students are 11 plus 1 upon 2, that is 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. That means the 6th item that we have is the median in this series, which means this one. This is 21. So, 21 is the median of the individual series. Now, let me talk of the discrete series. In the discrete series also, you will have to always put it in either ascending order or descending order, and you cannot keep it in the raw form as it is. For example, there we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and the frequencies which have occurred, the number of students who have obtained these marks 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 are 2 students getting 2 marks, 3 students getting 3 marks, 8 students 4 marks, 10, 5, 12, 6, 16, 7, 10, 8, 8, 9 and 6 getting 10 marks. So, I will add on to 2 plus 3 plus 8 plus 10 plus 12 plus 16 plus 10 plus 8 plus 6, which will give me 75. And this was the frequencies that I have. Now, I will find out the cumulative frequency. In the cumulative frequency, what I do is I keep on adding to the marks. That is, the first one is 2, 2 plus 3 will give me 5 and 5, and likewise I keep adding on to the marks, and thus the total which shall be derived shall again be at the end 75, which shall be similar to the marks obtained or the frequencies which exist, and the formula remains the same of number of observation plus 1 divided by 22, and which is 75 plus 1 upon 2, giving me 38 as the median in the discrete series. So, you know, to find out the median by in the individual series and in the discrete series, remember the steps involved are, you will have to first of all put it in the ascending or descending order, and in this simple calculation shall be whatever comes, that particular item is the median. Whereas in this, when you calculate, it is that the number shall remain same here, and thus when we divide it, that shall be the median in the discrete series. Now I talk of the third of its kind, and that is the continuous series, in which I shall have the range, I shall have the series which existed in the mean also. Now we talk of the third kind of median, which means the continuous series. In the continuous series, as we have already seen, they shall be only range, the class intervals, and the exact marks shall not be there. So, the marks here obtained are between 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. So, the class interval that we have again is of 10. The frequencies, the number of students who have secured marks in these range are between 0 to 10 are 22, 10 to 20 38, 20 to 30 46, 30 to 40 35, 40 to 50 we have 20. So, when I add on to 22 plus 38 plus 46 plus 35 plus 20 will give me 161, which means the sigma f that I have is 161. Remember, the sigma f should be the last value that we have of the cumulative frequency, and the cumulative frequency shall be calculated in the same manner by adding on to the frequencies, which means 22 and then 38, 60 and then 46, 106 and then 141 and then 161 as the last number that we have. The last number shall be equivalent to this that we have. They shall always be same and only then it is correct. Now to find out the median, we shall be taking into account the number of observation divided by 20. The number of observations are 161, which means 161 divided by 2 will give me 80.5. That means 80.5 is the median and I have to find out this in the class interval that I have. So, 80.5 shall lie in this 106 that we have cumulative frequency. When this is 106 cumulative frequency lies 80.5, that means the class interval that I get is 20 to 30 since it falls in this. Thus, we will try and find out the median and the formula here which shall be used will be the lower limit of the class interval. This is the class interval that we have derived plus number of observation upon 2 minus cumulative frequency into class interval upon f, the frequency. So, that means the lower class limit that I have is 20. The number or the number of observation that I have is 161 divided by 2 minus 60 that I have, and this 60, how do I get this 60? This is the cumulative frequency, that is 60. The cumulative frequency is always the frequency which falls before the number that we have derived. Since 160 was there for 80.5, so the cumulative frequency will be this, which is 1 before the number that I have derived. So, this will be minus 60 upon 46 and divided by or multiplied by the 10, that is the class interval that I have, the interval that we have. Now, this means when I divide 161, that is 20 plus 161 upon 2 minus 60 into 10 upon 46, the conclusion that shall be drawn will be 24.46. This shall be the median of the continuous series. So, you shall have observed by now that we have derived the mean by individual, discrete and the continuous series, and we have also derived the median through 3, that is the individual, the discrete and the continuous series. The third and the last that we have to learn is the mode that we have in the next clipping. Now, we will try and find out the central tendency through the mode. Mode is which is in fashion, which is frequent, which is used by more people, which is observed by more people, that is the mode. And that means the value or the value which occurs more frequently in a series is the mode of the series, and this is the symbol of the mode. Now, here I have picked up the numbers 17, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 20, 21, 21, 21, 21, 22. Now, I will have to find out the value which has occurred more frequently. This 17 has occurred 3 times, 18 has occurred 2 times, 19 has again occurred 2 times, 20 has occurred 3 times, 21 has occurred 4 times and 21 1 time. That means the mode or which has occurred more frequently, the value is 21. So, the mode shall be 21. That is the simple method of finding out the mode of the individual series. But again, we come to the discrete series, and in the discrete series, as it always is, there are frequencies, there are more than one, and Here I say 110, 120, 130, 140 and 150. Now 110 is by 2 students, 120 by 4, 130 by 8, 140 by 10 and 150 by 9. Here it is clearly visible. The highest that I shall see is this 10. The 10 frequency is occurring more frequently, that is 140 marks are obtained by 10 students. More number of students have secured 140, which means the mode is 140. So, it is a very simple method of finding out the mode both in the individual series and the discrete series, where we are seeing that which occurs more frequently, wherein the value of whichever is more, that is the mode of the series. And now I talk of, in the next clipping, the third of its kind, that is the continuous series. Now we will try and find out the mode by the third of its kind, that is in the continuous series. When we have a range, we have class interval and we are not sure of the marks obtained by the students. The class interval taken by me is of 10, wherein 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40 and 40 to 50 is the range, and the number of students who have obtained their marks between 0 to 10 are 2, 10 to 20 are 5, 20 to 30 are 7, 30 to 40 are 5 and 40 to 50 are 2. As we know, mode is the one which is occurring frequently. Thus, here by giving a glance I know that 7 is the highest score, which means the class interval that I have is 20 to 30 and this is my F1. That is, now I will find out my mode. To find out the mode, what I do is I apply the formula which says that the lower limit of the class interval plus the F1 minus FO upon 2Fi minus FO minus 2 into the class interval. So, this lower limit that I have here 20 to 30 is 20 and the F1 that I have is 7. FO is the one which is before, so minus 5 and upon 2Fi will be 7 into 2 is 14 minus the FO is 5 and minus F2. This is the F2. Remember, if this is F1, the previous one is FO and this is F2. Into the class interval, it is from the 10 that we have is this. So, 20 plus 7 minus 5 is 2 and upon 14 minus 5 will give me 4 into class interval, which means 20 plus 5 is giving me 25. Remember the formula you have to apply properly, and that is the lower class limit plus F1 minus FO upon 2Fi minus FO minus F2 into class interval. Once again, the lower class interval that I have is 20 and which is the higher, that is 30. So, the lower limit that I have is 20 and F1 is this, which is in the same class interval, is 7 minus FO, which is the previous one, and upon these 2Fi, which means 7 into 2 is 14 minus the FO that I have, which is 5 minus F2, the next one again 5, which gives me the formula which is required. This is the third and the last method of finding out the mode, and this is in the continuous series. Now let me talk of the merit and the demerits of the mode. When I talk of the merits of the mode, the first is that it is the most simple and also the most popular method applied by the people. Since it is very easy to calculate mode, thus it has become very popular. Second is, it does not get affected by the marginal values as much as the mean gets. Thus, the effect of its marginal values in the series is not to the extent that is there in the mean. Third is that it can be best represented through graphic representation, that is, the mode can be represented by the histogram. The next is that it is the best representation, and also it does not need all the numbers, all the frequencies, and it can be calculated even on the basis of the frequencies which are available. Thus, it is simple, easy to calculate, and also popular, and even if the data is incomplete, this method can help us in finding out the central tendency. But there are of course the demerits also to the system, and which are that the central tendency which we derive are generally uncertain and vague. Besides, the findings which we have cannot be used for further algebraic treatments. This method is also very complex in grouping as far as the procedure of grouping is concerned. Just because a number or a frequency exists many times or more times than the other frequencies, it cannot be the central tendency. But this is how the mode is calculated, and thus these were the three methods of statistical analysis of the central tendency, the mean, median and the mode, and you have been taught how to take it out in the three kinds, that is the individual series, the discrete series and also the continuous series. And that was all about your fifth chapter. Thank you.